Hello ladies and gentlemen, it's the Historical Gamer once again, and today we return to Ultimate General Civil War. We are playing the newest addition to this early access game, that is the Battle of Fredericksburg. We are fighting the historic Battle of Fredericksburg. This is separate from my Let's Play series as I play through the campaign. This is actually just a standalone battle of the Battle of Fredericksburg. I know that may be a little bit confusing, given I've got the Battle of Fredericksburg going, as well as, 19 parts of my campaign going as well, both being fought, in this case, from the side of the Confederacy, but bear with me, because this is part 3 of 4 of the Battle of Fredericksburg, so it won't be going much longer before it's just my campaign Let's Play. In this battle, or in this video, we are going to be looking at the attack on Mayre's Heights, the Union Army's ill-fated attempt to throw the Confederate Army from some phenomenal defensive positions opposite of the town of Fredericksburg. It is one of the most iconic attacks of the entire American Civil War, witnessing the Union launch more than 12 separate assaults against the heights, defended by Confederate forces behind stone walls across open fields and with entrenched artillery and troops in opposition. In many ways, this was sort of the Confederates' defensive version of Pickett's Charge or Malvern Hill, although it occurred during winter, during December, which is when the Battle of Fredericksburg was fought, and therefore after the sun went down, there were frigid conditions, making this battle even more miserable, perhaps, than either of the other aforementioned battles. With all of that being said, this footage is taken from a live stream that I did about a week or so ago. Yesterday was Christmas, so Merry Christmas to everybody. I didn't have a Christmas video up. I was actually out of town for the 5 days preceding Christmas, so I wasn't able to record anything there. I am also going to be filming a top 5 most played games of the year for me, not necessarily games just released in 2015 or 2016, but games that I played more in 2016 than any other games. I will also be releasing a top 5 most anticipated games of 2017. Look for the most played games sometime before New Year, so sometime this week. Look for the most anticipated games sometime immediately after New Year's, within a couple of days. I'd like to get it out as quick as possible. But that's enough of me rambling and you staring at a static screen, so let's go ahead and jump back into this live stream and this first 30 minutes of the attack of the Union Army on Mayre's Heights. Hope you guys enjoy. Thanks again for watching. Okay, while we fight at the right flank, we've been assaulted on Mayre's Heights. Behind the stone wall, we have a large number of cannons defending the hill. The crazy Union advance will cost them. A chicken could not live on that field when we open up on it. Clever little Longstreet quote. So it looks like we can't go south to the southern flank, so that's good. Now we just have to hold in the north. Now, if they renew their assault later in the day in the south, that could be bad. Alright, so they're not in the walls? You sure they're not in the walls? These guys look like they're attached to the walls, just based on their formation. Yeah, they're in the walls, guys. They're in the walls! Okay, now I gotta get them back in. Now that I took them out. God damn it, get back in the walls! This game needs to do a better job of allowing me to select that. There. Here come the Federals. Okay. Pendleton, commander of the artillery. Shouldn't it be Alexander? I wonder if they're going to push us back from any of our initial lines. They're pushing pretty heavy in the south. Let's see here. I sure hope you get a big melee bonus with these troops. Let's see here. Doesn't really say. I thought the stone wall was like in advance of the line, but I didn't think it was this long of a stone wall. The one problem with this game is I don't think it's going to be able to simulate the inability of the Union to close to the lines and failure to even melee. The problem here is I don't really have reserves to draw upon, right? Literally everyone is committed to a defensive spot. I could pull troops out of the northern flank. I don't think they're going to come south there. Okay, here we go. Some melee. So they really should, because they're behind a stone wall in my view, they should get a pretty big melee bonus. Guess we'll see. There you go, they're routing. Yeah, there you go. Look at them. Look at them all. Fall. Kershaw's getting charged on... I don't know if that's his flank or what. Who was just Cook? Cook was killed? Great. Well, he did throw back 2 Federal brigades. Where does this give supply to? Give supply to anyone? Alright, let's get our supply wagons up. They're going to be needed forward. More meleeing. You know, one thing, I'm not a huge fan of the movie Gods and Generals. I think it's a little bit overdone, a little bit overly dramatic, and really doesn't do a very good job of telling the story of the early years of the Civil War. Does a good job with Bull Run in of itself from a purely Jackson perspective. But it doesn't do a good job of really telling the story of the early days of the Civil War. It kind of jumps around too much, and it's got, you know, just, I don't think it does a great job there. But what it does do a great job of, an absolutely phenomenal job of in my book, is telling the story of Fredericksburg. The Battle of Fredericksburg is handled brilliantly. It does ignore Meade's success in the South, and that's fine. I mean, just like Gettysburg ignored the battle around Culp's Hill, which was no less important than Little Round Top at Gettysburg. But the movie does a great job of telling the story of the attack on Fredericksburg and the attack on the Heights thereafter. Without a doubt, I think it's got to be the best portrayal ever done. And it deserves kudos for that, that's for sure. You know, with all of the Joshua Lawrence Chamberlain kind of melodrama built in, and his quotes and all that. But with all that being said, it still does a great job. I'm not talking about the casting choices for Lee. I'm just kind of referring to the actual portrayal of the attack on the portrayal of the attack on the stone wall itself. I think Duvall was probably a better Lee than Sheen was in Gettysburg, but I think Gods in General focused I think it tried to do too much in too short a period of time, and then it didn't do a great job of really anything. Do we have more than one leader? Is Longstreet on the field here? Or is it just Pendleton? Because I would love to bring Longstreet forward so I could have a leader kind of buttressing all of these guys' morale. Because Cook is really the weak spot in our line. If they break our right, and our center has some fallback back toward here, but if they break our right, we're in trouble. Now, the good thing is their morale is really high. Cobb is doing well. Kershaw is doing well. This is just mammoth carnage. I can't imagine trying to play this as the Union. I mean, I guess I said I might do that later, but seriously, good luck. Even that last scenario, you just didn't have enough manpower. The enemy has a ton of men. The Union's outnumbered in that attack for sure, and you're attacking with such a small force you don't have any way to guard your flank. Your best chance as the Union probably in that last scenario is to swing north, get around the Confederates, and come down their line. Or maybe go way south and try and deal with the cavalry. Man. This is insane. Like, Second Manassas, I think, as a scenario in this game was brilliantly done. It had the Union approaching just like this in absolute swarms. Made you bite your fingernails the whole time. You know, whether you were going to hang on. This doesn't feel quite that way, although I can imagine a campaign game it would. It certainly is not representing what it was really like. The Union didn't swarm forward like zombies, you know, rushing the objective time and time again. There were some commanders who claimed they could have won at Fredericksburg if they had massed their forces and coordinated their assault and not stopped to fire but had gone forward for a melee. I don't know if that's true. It certainly happened at Spotsylvania, but Spotsylvania was a little bit different, where the Confederates didn't have quite as lucrative a killing ground as they did at Fredericksburg. Cook's starting to get a bit exhausted there by the looks of it. He's lost over 400 men. Cobb and Kershaw are doing a bit better. I'm abandoning these positions in the north, taking a bit of a risk. I'm also going to take Barksdale and move him forward a bit. He's in reserve right now, but I may need to throw him into a line if the Federals overwhelm one of our positions. My guess is even if they push through and take one of these, or push one of these brigades out, the artillery's going to stop them, so that if I've got a brigade ready to rush into the forts, we might not be in bad shape. So I'm moving Barksdale up to be ready to take either Kershaw's or Cobb's spot in the event they get pushed out. There goes your Irish brigade, by the way. Meagher's brigade just got routed and thrown back. Oh my god, look at all these men. I feel like this battle should just be a tech demonstrator for the game's capabilities of, like, we can throw a lot of men in the field of battle and fight. More than a game at this point, where it's just, you know, lots of people in blue coats dying. Well, maybe I will roll them up. I am bringing those troops south, like I said, waiting for them to get in position. I almost feel like maybe you should roll them up. I feel like it will make it more interesting to do that. I kind of feel like it's kind of a, I don't mean to be mean, but it's kind of a dull scenario where it's like, the enemy has no chance of breaking through your lines. Just wait to receive them as they all die. I mean, they are inflicting some casualties here. You know, let's not take that away. They've inflicted over 500 casualties. Over a quarter of Cook's brigade is gone. You see their morale is falling a bit. That's why I repositioned Pendleton there. So I could definitely see, I mean, it's continuing to drop. I could see him being pushed out. I'm actually going to move Featherson down to plug his hole if he gets pushed back. I think I'm losing some line of sight because some of these troops are higher up on the ridge. I mean, Cobb's lost over a third of his troops. His morale's dropping. Barksdale's morale's dropped. I forgot he got killed. I don't know how well Cobb will hold out against more charging. Cook is hanging in there, but if they exert as much pressure as they did earlier, he may be in trouble. JB Hood is kind of south in the center of the line. I don't know if the game still has another phase where you're going to fight that phase of the battle. But we're going to start moving up on their flank. Doesn't look like I can... Oh, this brigade's going to move here. These guys move here. This brigade's going to move here. This brigade's going to move wide in here. Artillery will move here. Looks like they're in mud and tough terrain. Who's retreating? Please tell me those are the Yankees. Good lord, that artillery. Oh boy! Guns kill a lot. Okay, so we're outflanking him a bit on our left. Cook's holding, Kershaw's holding. Cobb, it seems like they've shifted their focus away from Cobb, which is good. This guy I'm setting up to fire right into the Federal flank. You can see multiple brigades are pulling out now. Wright's brigade is the stick in the mud. He's moving too slow, so we can really flank him wide. There's a lot of artillery in this town, though. That's going to be a little bit difficult to deal with, especially because artillery can, you know, they're in like 100% cover. Just run into position, right? You guys are taking your damn time. Man. Coke, Cook, whatever it is. What are his guns? Springfields? Okay. I mean, he's doing work, but he's losing quite a bit, too. Let's see here. This is, by the way, this scenario so far has been very much the Gods and Generals statement where Longstreet says, you know, just give me enough ammo and I'll kill every man in that field. Basically, and you know, I just move my supply wagons forward, make sure my troops have bullets, and so far the wall's holding. I'm gonna keep an eye on him. They're only flanked from artillery, and again, it's not in canister range, so I'm not too worried about case shot firing into my flank. Buchanan's brigade just melting in front of our very eyes. Alright, we'll cut our right, move up around. Okay. That brigade just got destroyed. Like, actually, literally destroyed. Right's gonna struggle with this infantry now, though. They're in the town. We're gonna have Coke fall back. We're gonna move. Run them into positions behind the stone wall. We'll let Coke fall back. Now we've got 500 more men on the firing line. So hoping that'll... General Ambrose Wright is killed, so our right flank's flanking maneuver is gonna probably falter, because the enemy can just reform in these buildings. The nice thing is all of our artillery up here, if the enemy turns to face us, can fire right down their line and flank. But yeah, that's probably the end of that flanking maneuver. Right, move back into position over here to guard the flank. I don't really like to compare Total War with Ultimate General. I think they're very different. Like, yeah, sure, they both have linear combat, but the games are so different. I don't think it's a really fair comparison. Featherson's doing well. Cook is rallying. Yeah, I don't really feel like they're fair comparisons. Run away, run away, diddle 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 diddle, run away, run away. Okay, so we flanked the enemy. Look at all these dead bodies. I think a better comparison for something like this would be Sid Meier's Gettysburg, maybe the Take Command games, although they're very different as well. I don't think Total War is a good comparison because of the whole grand map strategy element, which is just totally out of left field. They're not trying to strictly be a combat engine, at least historically they haven't. I mean, I'm a fan of Scourge of War, but I'm also on the test team, and I get compensated a very little amount for my time, so I don't want to be like, hey, it's the best game ever, because obviously I have a bit of a vested interest in it, you know? I'm not going to try and lie to people and be like, I objectively think it's the best game ever, because while I definitely enjoy it, I'm not coming at it from an unbiased perspective. Now, I did end up on the Scourge of War team because I loved Scourge of War so much and was playing Gettysburg and Antietam. Back, if you look at the early days of my channel, I think I had 20 plus videos on Scourge of War. I actually, for wargamer.com, I did a full playthrough of the 11-hour Antietam scenario and, chopped that into bits and cut a lot of it out. I think it was for the anniversary of the Battle of Antietam. It might have been for the 150th anniversary of the Battle of Antietam. So I mean, the Scourge of War team saw my videos and they're like, hey, you want to be a tester for us and want to join the team? And I was kind of like, yeah, sure, hell yeah. But full disclosure. I can throw a link after this phase ends in for it if you want to check it out. It's not on my channel. It's on wargamer.com. I was thinking about redoing it. Actually, I was thinking about restreaming that. Look at all these dead bodies. I was thinking about doing like originally I was going to do the 11-hour scenario, and I realized it only had the Confederates for the 11 hours, and I wanted to do the Union, so I was thinking maybe I would do a 6-hour video and stream it here. All right, folks, we're going to go ahead and cut the stream off here. I hope you enjoyed the Federal attack on Mayre's Heights. This is part 3 of what will be a 4-part series looking at the historic Battle of Fredericksburg in the new Ultimate General Civil War game. So I hope you guys all enjoyed. I'm going to go ahead and cut this video off, and please feel free to leave likes, subscribe, all that jazz. But until next time, this is the Historical Gamer saying thank you for watching, and I'm out.